Hey guys, good evening. It's another go-to session for digital film lighting. I'm Mike Walsh, your instructor at LA Film School online. And tonight, I just wanted to take this time to read to you and comment on last month's President's Letter from the ICG magazine, published monthly by the International Cinematographers Guild. That's DPs and camera operators, local 600 from in Hollywood, um, of which Stephen Poster is the current, the residing president. Um, every month, the editor and the president will have, um, a little something for us to consider. It might be an informative letter about some new technology, or it might be um, it might be you know what, this isn't going to have any audio. I don't have my thing on because I don't see any meters. Puh, puh, puh. Let's see. Puh, puh. Oh, maybe it will. I hope this comes out with audio. um, where was I? Each month, the editor and the president um, offer a one-page column on a new piece of technology, or just a piece of wisdom that they have considered and um, presented to us from their own experience, something they've worked out and thought they might want to pass on as useful to us who are still in the field. In this article this month, in the May issue 2016, is called Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And basically, I just want to read it and see if you can get the thrust of what he's saying. See if the major points stand out to you or not, and I'll try to clarify some of that for you if possible. Um, it says, my good friend and colleague Vittorio Storero, AIC, that's the Italian International Cinematographers Guild, defines cinematography as writing with light in movement. And that's a beautiful, simple, and concise way to describe what we do. Certainly, when we cinematographers are creating a shot, a sequence, a beat in the script, or an arc of a story, one of the most crucial elements to being successful is, of course, light. And I would agree. Nothing can tell a visual story better than having a cohesive structure for that light before anyone ever walks onto the set. He's basically letting you know that as cinematographers, lighting is probably, at least in his mind and in a lot of minds, my own in particular, lighting is, I think, the most important aspect of that job. Now, I come from a lighting background, so of course I'm going to say this, coming through the ranks as an electrician and um, later as a gaffer, spending the bulk of my career concerned with lighting and the nuances of lighting would certainly place that craft higher in my pyramid of importance than other folks. But nevertheless, I do think that of all of the expressive statements the cinematographer is making, the lighting is one of the few things that truly translates to the screen. So I'm inclined to agree with him there. And he says, no doubt we're in a period of great technological advance, as Vittorio himself will attest, just having finished shooting his most recent digital movie, Cafe Society, with Woody Allen. Today's digital technology allows us to do things that were so very difficult in the old days. I remember the days I lit entire factories with a trunk load of 650-watt color trans units at 25 ASA, that's 25 ISO, and set your camera to 25 one of these days and see how much you can see in your monitor at that low of an ISO. Sometimes they ended up looking more like film noir than corporate industrials, but we used the tools we had at the time to make it all work. And that's a really important piece of advice. It's like, look, it doesn't matter what you think this could look like in a perfect world, and it doesn't matter what you believe this work could look like if you had all of the guys and all of the time and all of the money and all of the gear available to you to make it look beautiful. What's most important is you take what's in front of you and the instructions given to you and the objectives set forth for you, and you make it work. You just make it work. Today's digital sensors are infinitely more powerful. It says he shot all the night interiors and exteriors of his latest film at 3200 ISO. And the new Panasonic camera has a beautiful chip that renders at 5000 ISO. So that's pretty important. So he's asking, do we contrast the new reality of how we make images to Hollywood DPs and crews back in the day that had to struggle mightily with huge lights and a ton of gear, and say, where's the artistry today in shooting under nothing but LED street lamps and ultra-sensitive digital cameras? And he says, not necessarily. Both eras are filled with artisans who employ years of skill and photographic experience to tell a visual story. The cinematographers, and I've worked with a lot of them, could tell you the difference between 400 and 200 ISO simply by holding up their hands and looking at the light hitting the open palm of their hand. Today you might be hard-pressed to find folks that can do that, but thankfully we have digital imaging technicians using calibrated monitors who can allow today's cinematographers to see the difference between 1 and 2 foot candles, which is not a lot of light at all, with their eyes and not just as a unit of electronic measurement. Lighting with today's technology, Stephen says, has allowed for the democratization of visual storytelling. But just because we can light anywhere at any time with the lightest and smallest of instruments doesn't mean that we're telling a story with light. Doesn't mean that it makes sense, right? It's like gobbledygook without the proper direction. That doesn't happen without a structured approach to the quality and direction of light, a method that has been used since movie making began. And that's important to understand, that a lot of the lighting aesthetics that we have and the choices that we make are based on field experience that stretches back 75, 100 years. And that is to say that even though it's an old approach, doesn't necessarily mean that it's not an effective approach in terms of rendering three-dimensional objects in two-dimensional space. There's only so many ways of looking at that. The styles change from decade to decade. Emphasis on color or emphasis on soft key lights instead of hard key lights. Things of that nature. The color of night. Whether it's blue or orange or yellow or green. Those things will change occasionally over time, but the bones of what we do, the essence of what we do hasn't changed much in a century, oddly enough. He goes on to say, obviously the number of lighting instruments available today is breathtaking. From tiny LED ribbon and matte lights powered by light gear to small but powerful units that companies like Digital Sputnik or Mole Richardson are doing. There's a huge range of choices that can plug into the wall and be carried in the trunk of a car, not unlike his old color trans. And there are also exciting new advances from established vendors like Flow and Airy that allow us to shape and color light instantly through electronics and wireless technology. So it's a very rich and wonderful landscape today that allows cinematographers to fulfill what Vittorio Storaro describes as writing with light in motion. And it's also a much more hospitable time for union crews vis-a-vis the many smaller, cooler, and more efficient lighting instruments used on set and on location. I would agree with that. I don't know how happy some of the guys are that there's not as much gear to sling around anymore because there's not as much guys working on a shooting crew as there used to be. So I guess the answer to that is make more movies so we can hire more folks to do lighting for us on our feature films. He's going to sum it up in this way. He's going to say, but no matter the scenario, large lamps, tiny lamps, or the combination of both within the same scene, the art of telling visual stories with light shines on like the precious, gorgeous gem it has always been. And we stellar union craftspeople continue to polish, shape, and cut these beautiful stones called movies and television with what most organic of narrative elements, light. And it's signed Stephen Poster, ASC, May 2016. So he wants to leave you with the idea that no matter what your tool set is and your conditions, hopefully what you're going to be doing is applying a set of methodical, informed decisions or choices that are based on your experimentation, your education, your experience, and your taste, right? What looks good to you? What do you like to do when you're lighting night exterior, dark country road? How do you like that to look? Does your director agree, and does it suit the story? So I wanted to leave you with that and see what you think of it. Consider it. Consider what's being said, and think about it the next time you go out and work with your tools. Just because you turn those lights on and splash them on your talent doesn't mean you've done an adequate job of lighting. You need to think about, how's that lighting rendering on my subject? Is it flattering? Is it suitable? Is it demonstrative of the message that the script is sending? Is it does it fit the tone of the script, of the story? Or did I just turn it on and poof, poof, pancake my talent so I have enough light to make an image and then stop?